You are watching the Suspense Squad webcast, where authors interview authors. We are featuring Dana R. Lynn, an award-winning writer whose newest book, Plain Refuge, was released on June 1st. Our panel of authors includes Virginia Vaughn, Loretta Eatson, Darlene L. Turner, Sammy A. Abrams, Hope Welburn, Patty Nicholas Boyd, and myself, Shannon Redmond. Hi, we're back again with another great interview, the Suspense Squad interview, and we are coming tonight to you featuring one of our very own, Dana R. Lynn. Dana, we are really excited to have you, and your book is called Plain Refuge. So if you would show us that book and hold it up for us so we can see it and read the back blurb, let us know a little bit about what that book is about.
Okay. So on the back it says, on the run from hired gunmen, can she find safety in Amish country? After overhearing an illegal weapons deal, Sophie Larson knows two things. Her uncle's the dangerous criminal, and he wants her dead. Now undercover cop Aiden Forster has no choice but to blow his cover and protect Sophie by hiding her and her deaf sister in Amish country. But with a mole in the police force, danger isn't far behind.
I've read this book, and I think a lot of us have read this book. It was very, very good. Lots of action, lots of suspense. Just took a different twist from your typical Amish book, which I really, really, really liked. So I'm very excited to get to talk to you tonight, and all of us are excited to get to talk to you tonight and ask you questions about this book and get you to tell the story about it. All right, so here we go. We're going to start with Miss Sammy Abrams.
Well, my question isn't about the book. It's about you and your family. Rumor has it you've had something really exciting happen to a family member lately. Mind telling us what it was?
In January, my middle child, he was 18, had just graduated from high school last June and was working as an electrician. He comes in one day and basically says, oh, by the way, I have a meeting with the Marine recruiter tomorrow. I'm like, what? So that happened in the middle of January. March 9th, he left right before all this COVID stuff happened, and he left and went to boot camp, and he just graduated this past Friday, and so now he's a private first class in the United States Marines. Could not be prouder of him.
Congratulations. Semper Fi.
Exactly.
That's wonderful.
That's
oh my
great.
goodness. I bet that was a little bit a shocker when he first came in, was it?
It was because we hadn't heard him talk about it recently, but it wasn't because he had talked about it previously. We just thought he'd kind of let go of that dream, but he came and he did it. The hardest part about it was that because it was during COVID, we could not go and watch him graduate because the base was closed down. But you know what? God has it all in control, and we're so proud of him. And he looks so grown up when we see him, when we FaceTime him.
All right, I think we have another question from Virginia Vaughn.
Hey, Dana. Congratulations about your son and your new book. I did read it, and it was great. I really enjoyed it. So my question for you is, I'm interested in how you come up with new and interesting ways to keep your hero and heroine in danger.
Well, you know what? It's funny because when I first start thinking about a book, I have this panic moment when I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to find out something different, something new? Some of it is just life experiences, which sounds odd because nobody has tried to kill me or anything. But just things that you go through and you think, what is the worst thing that could possibly happen in this instance? And so I have a lot of those, and I keep track of them. That would be great to use in a book someday. So I do have notes I can pull from. I also sometimes when I'm writing, I tend to be an organic writer, which means that I don't really plot a whole lot. So as I'm writing, it's again just thinking what is the worst thing that can happen at this point in the book, because you always want to end the chapter on some kind of note where the reader wants to continue reading. And then there's also just looking through the newspapers or watching the news and see if you could catch on something. So some of it's looking at the world around us, some of it's just brainstorming, and some of it is I have a tendency to have really, really weird dreams. And I kid you not, but I have at least, out of all my books, there's at least 7 of them where one of the scenes is something that I dreamed up.
Oh my goodness. That's
So you kill
has
people in your dreams.
anybody else had that happen? I've actually done that before too. Has anybody else had that happen? That's kind of interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hope you've had that happen.
Yeah. I have an idea for a 3-book series that they all came from dreams.
Yeah.
Wow. That is
I'm more worried about her husband when she's trying to kill somebody and he's going to be the
her
object.
dream.
No, he's
All
used to it by now.
Miss Loretta, you are up next.
All right. Again, congratulations, Dana. I have read your book and it is awesome.
Thank you.
I couldn't put it down. And so anyway, my question for you is, what sort of research did you have to do for your story?
One of the scenes in this book, it wasn't intentional research, but one of the scenes when I was with my family this summer and we went whitewater rafting, and it was a phenomenal experience. Well, there is a river and a rafting scene in the book. So as soon as we got back from that, I quickly took notes on what we had happened, and then I looked up different terms that I heard our guides say and different parts of the river and what are, just different things about the area, how you get from this point to this point on the raft. That was fascinating. Sometimes it's just my work experience. Like my hero and her daughter is deaf. So I decided that I was going to have her deaf sister have cochlear implants. Now, I've worked with kids who have cochlear implants before, but I wanted more in depth. So, I contacted the audiology department at a hospital. I did some online research. I actually questioned a couple of friends of mine about, what happens if your cochlear gets wet, or, just different things I'd heard. So a lot of it is hands-on. A lot of it is asking people. The internet, because although you have to be careful because the internet is not always factual. I find talking to people to be one of the best ways, just because if somebody's really in the know about that subject, you're probably going to get more current information than if you just looked it up in a book that was, say, 5 years old or whatever. So
I loved that you, when you took the characters, I hope this isn't too much of a spoiler, but when you took the characters into their hiding place, that because it was Amish, that she could not use the cochlear implants because they have no power to charge them. So that was pretty interesting fact that I didn't even think about that. So I really appreciated that you brought attention to that and loved that. That was one of the things I loved in your book. So that was great.
Yeah,
Okay,
I really enjoyed that part of the book. I was like, wow, I hadn't thought of that, and that was amazing when I was reading that.
True.
thank you.
And how scary that would really be.
Yeah, absolutely. So Patty, continue because you're the next up to ask a question.
Well, sure. My question, and I am in the middle of your book, so I'm just like on pins and needles right now. But my question is a publishing question. When did you first get published, and tell us about that journey?
When I was in 6th grade, I read The Outsiders, and I decided that, when I found out S.E. Hinton was 17 years old, my goal was I was going to write a book by the time I was 17 years old. It didn't happen. I'm not 17. Not even close. But
You're 20, right?
yeah, no. Let's add a few years. But so there was always that desire to write a book. And, I'd start a few chapters, but then life would take over. But about 2013, I started writing a book, and I thought, I love romance. So I'm just going to write a contemporary romance. So I entered so you think you can write contest with Harlequin? and we enter your first chapter, and I was so excited because I was one of the top 50, and so I wrote the rest of the book, and it was horrible. I mean, it was just horrible. It was, yeah, I'm scared to even take it out of and look at it now. So then, but I finished a book, so then I was like, yay, I can actually write that many words. So when the Harlequin Love Inspired Suspense editors said they were going to have another contest in 2014, it was the Search for a Killer Voice. I decided to enter that one. And with the guidance of the editors, they took us through writing the initial chapter, writing the synopsis, writing the 3 chapters, and then the whole book. So that's when I sold my first book, Presumed Guilty. But in the meantime, I published with a small press a little Regency Pride and Prejudice variation book, which was really, really fun. But now that I look back at it, I was like, oh my goodness, because I wrote that before I had all my editors. So now I'm kind of embarrassed by that one. But having that deadline, having that editor right there, that helped.
How many books did you write before you were published? Do you care to share that? If you don't want to share that, that's okay. I like to know that.
Presumed Guilty was my 3rd book.
The 3rd book. So you wrote 3.
book.
Your 3rd book got published. That's great.
Yes. And that's all I can think of.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you, Dana. We appreciate you being with us tonight. Thank you for answering our questions. Again, Plain Refuge is out now at Barnes & Noble, Target, and Walmart, if you can go into those stores these days. And then also on Amazon.com. So everybody run out and get you a copy.